In today's world, the unexpected can happen at any moment. Are you and your family prepared? Do they know what to do? Prepare your family and loved ones with the Love of Life Blueprint Package. It will guide you with instructions on what important and urgent information to leave for your loved ones if the unexpected happens. Go to loveoflifeblueprint.com. You can choose from 4 different products, starting as low as $35. Once again, that website is loveoflifeblueprint.com.
Do you love the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders? Then support the show that's currently ranked in the top 10 shows on Spreaker.com in the wrestling category, on Patreon.com, and get exclusive access to new original content, including our 30 with Lee series, bonus and vintage RCWR episodes, exclusive guest interviews, prize giveaways, online community chat, live show call-in features, and so much more. Support the RCWR Show on Patreon.com/RCWR Show. Once again, that's Patreon.com/RCWR Show. The RCWR Show with Lee Sanders, entertaining you since 2011.
Warning, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
See, I was about ready to say Tuesday night, but no, it's actually Thursday night. What's going on? Pleased to meet you. Nice to know me. I am the one and only Lee Sanders, and you are checking out the RCWR Show for this very casual, laid-back Thursday night of June 8th, 2017. Your man over here has had a crazy week. Like, I've just been running all over the place with regards to this new gig that I've been doing about almost a week now. It's going to be a week as of this Saturday. I've been having a lot of fun. It's my second, well, technically it's actually a third gig, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. It has its respective pros and cons. One of the cons being I am so flabbergasted, and then like on top of doing my other job, it's like, but you know what? As long as the money is coming in, that's all that really matters, man. But I know we were supposed to do this show for you guys on Tuesday night. Honestly, was pretty burned out. You know how it is, man. But hey, I'm happy that we're here doing the show for you here tonight. So for those of you that's going to be checking this out live, as always, I appreciate you welcoming me into your ears. Maybe you're going to be checking this out on demand, on the downloads. I do definitely appreciate the love. So tonight's show, I know usually we go like, we go like about 2 hours plus, but I am beginning a new work schedule with the other job, and basically the other job wants me to come in a little bit early. So it's basically part of a little arrangement that was already set up a couple of weeks ago. So I'm gonna take advantage of that. That should go pretty well. So I'm gonna be going in about an hour early. I'll probably still be staying until my regular time. I actually might be staying a lot longer, but one of the main reasons why I am interested in trying to go a little bit in earlier to the other job is to make sure that I have enough appropriate time to do what I need to do at that job, come home, have some dinner, maybe try to spend a little bit of quality time with the missus, and then get ready for the next job. So if I'm lucky, I might be able to squeeze in about, if I'm lucky, probably 4 hours of sleep. Now, some of you guys may be hearing that. You may be saying, nah, Lee, that's not me. I can't operate like that. I got to have at least 7 hours. But me, honestly, nowadays, I'm finding as long as I have at least, look, 4 hours, that's like the worst case scenario. But if I can get like 5 and up, I am in euphoria. I am definitely like refreshed. So we're gonna try to do a short show. I have to keep track of the time, so it's like 9:45 right now. My goal is to basically give you guys at least close to 90 minutes, as much as humanly possible. And then, like, honestly, any topics that I'm not able to get into on this very episode, I will definitely get into them in an exclusive audio piece that's actually going to be available for our Patreon members. Because honestly, I gotta tell you, with the continued support that's been coming in from the Patreon members, and let me tell you something, man, I really don't be doing like a lot of other shows where they just be like ramming that down you, the listeners' throats, like every 5 minutes or whatever like that. I know there's some people that kind of look at this and they look at it as a form of solicitation. And honestly, that's not the case at all. That's not how I look at shows like mine, that basically says, hey, look, if you'd like to check out some really cool exclusive content that honestly you're not going to be able to gain access to anywhere else because it's tailor made for you if you're basically a Patreon member, I think that's pretty awesome, because you basically have a voice in the say of the type of content that's going to be coming at you on a monthly basis. It's a little bit more intimate. It's a little bit more direct. It's almost kind of a little bit more one-on-one. So that versus just, honestly, I kind of like what a lot of shows, including mine, are doing with the Patreon platform. I don't look at it as e-begging whatsoever. I think e-begging or begging for money is like when you're basically using a Patreon or you're using a Kickstarter and you're basically saying, I have no way of getting myself groceries this month, so please hit that donation button. Or I have no way to get myself to and from work. I need gas money. Please hit that donate button. No. That's just, you and I both know that's just wrong on so many levels, man. But when you're doing it the way that you're supposed to be doing it, like for us content creators, like we're doing all this really cool, exclusive, unique content, and it's like you want to try to represent, the numbers of Patreons that we have right now, it's a bit small, because honestly the page was created about a year ago and it was honestly abandoned. Really have not been aggressively promoting it. It was just kind of like on the back burner, but then like right before the crap had went down with YouTube, started getting into it more and more. And honestly, at this point, I really appreciate the guys that are taking the time out to continue to be our Patreon members, because of their contributions that have tallied up over the past couple of months, they definitely made a pretty good, significant contribution in helping me get the necessary equipment for AwesomeCon that's going to be coming up next week. I am so ecstatic. I'm so pumped up, man. Yes, AwesomeCon, it is happening. As for the first time in show history, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is going on the road, as we are going to be part of the press media. I'm going to be bringing you guys all types of cool, exclusive footage, any interviews, the works. It's going to be awesome. You're going to have a nice bird's eye view on this awesome event known as AwesomeCon that's going to be happening at Washington, D.C., the convention center. So pumped for that. So I got like a boatload of equipment that is coming. Something had already came today. There's going to be even more equipment. The rest of it is basically supposed to be coming Friday. So I can't wait. We're going to do a series of unveilings. I'm going to try to see if I can maybe break it down in like 2 parts. And that's going to be exclusive to the Patreon members. So, because after all, it's because of their contributions, continued contributions to the show, that in part I was able to get a hold of this necessary equipment that's going to be needed to cover the event, and then just doing shows going forward. So really appreciate all of you guys. As before I even dive into a number of really good topics we're going to be diving into on the show here tonight, want to take this time to send a big shout out to our Patreon members. Let me just pull this up right here. Shout out to the following Patreon members. Shout out to Reza. Hope you're doing well, my friend. We also have picked up a new Patreon member for this month. He's going to try to see if he can make it be an ongoing thing. So, Joe, shout out to you, Joe. Hope you enjoy the Patreon exclusive content, and definitely keep me posted. Let me know what you like, what maybe needs to be tweaked a little bit. Shout out to John, and also shout out to Kingsley. Thank you guys tremendously for being Patreon members. And if you would like to become a Patreon member, you can learn a lot more about the RCWR show, why I'm using Patreon, and all kinds of really cool stuff. Go to patreon.com/RCWR show. One more time, patreon.com/RCWR show. So like last we were on the air, a lot of crazy crap had went down that just made you go, man, I can't believe off this week. Because there was like so many freaking headlines I came across that made me so badly want to just fire up a webcam and just go right for it. But I was like, you know what, man? Nah, brother, gonna just take it easy. I'm just gonna wait until next week. Let a little bit more information come in before I offer any comments on it. Man, where do we even start? I will definitely get to the talk of wrestling. Those of you that has been listening to this show for a long extended period of time now, you all know that I do talk about wrestling, but then I also talk about other things besides wrestling. Pretty much the motto is, if it has you talking, I'm going to be talking about it here on the RCWR show. Now, for those of you that's going to be listening to this live in real time, and you're not really feeling some of the topics I'm covering, just try to do your very best to indulge me. I mean, I'll try to be as brief and hit all the bullet points as possible. And for those of you that's going to be listening to this on the downloads, on demand, there is a really powerful button that you have, which is basically the fast forward button. So I would definitely suggest you utilize it depending on the topics that I'm covering. But I definitely want to go heavy. Of course, some of you all by now, you're probably looking at the thumbnail for this episode and you're going, damn, Lee, okay, so how you really feel? Let's go there, man. So unless you've been living under a rock, this crap that's been going on with so-called comedian Kathy Griffin. Look, gotta be candid. I have been familiar with the work of Kathy Griffin as a comedian for many years now, for a couple of decades, and honestly, never funny. I never found her to be funny. Her comedy was just so bland, and it was just really hard for me to believe that there were actually people that were coming out of their pockets to pay and see this woman perform. I mean, hey, everybody has their own. I can't bash, though. See, I can't bash. I maybe don't quite understand it, but I can't bash it. You know why? It's because that's what makes this world so freaking beautiful, is the fact that everybody has such unique tastes. What they consider to be funny, what they consider to be satire, what they consider to be too risque, etc. What might not be everyone's taste turns out is actually somebody else's preference. It's kind of like my show. I mean, I'm sure many of you by now have probably taken a look at some of the comments for some of the clips that I do on Epic Sports. And big shout out to the Epic Sports family, by the way. I really appreciate the continued love and support from you guys. But like a majority of the clips that are up there on Epic Sports, which by the way, I have no control over how those clips are edited. I have no control over the images that are used. None of that. I'm not a buffer in any type of way. Epic, my man, just goes in, he does what he does, he listens to the shows, he figures out like what sounded really good that maybe will engage the audience, and he pretty much operates that way. So, like, normally if you see some of my clips on Epic Sports, for the most part, pretty well received, but you'll get some people that honestly, like, they just don't like me. And you know what? I can't lose sleep over that, because this world, as I've been able to see with my own eyes over the years, especially in the past 5 years alone, all the people that have died, me really questioning my own mortality, I'm slowly creeping up on the big 4-0. Me personally, I don't have time for the games. I don't have time for the BS. I mean, I already know that my execution and how I do my show, some of the topics that I get into, hell, sometimes right down to the point, just the way I sound, it's not for everybody. Everybody wants to be a critic, and honestly, my show's not for everybody. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that no matter what I do, no matter how well I might go above and beyond to try to improve for the better, there are just going to be people that's just never going to be feeling my flow. So it doesn't matter what I do. So to that, I just got to keep it moving along. I can't just dwell. So with regards to Kathy Griffin, even though myself and there's a lot of people that particularly don't care for her style of comedy because it's bland, it's boring, it's not even funny. It makes you wonder, how has she been able to stay in business this long? Is it because at one point she looked rather cute? She looked kind of hot looking? Is that why she was able to continue? Or a combination? She knew the right people? Like, what's the 411? Regardless, somehow she's been able to stay relevant all of these years. And the controversial photo of her posing with a beheaded Donald Trump. Honestly, when I first saw this image, one of the first things that just made me like, wow, it just reminded me of the frickin' Highlander. Honestly, that was the first thing I thought of as soon as I saw the image. I mean, anybody that has seen the Highlander movies, I am Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. I have come to take your head. And you just got the Queen song, here we are. I'm not going to sing it, but like, actually, we should maybe put a buffer and actually play the freaking song in the background as I'm talking about this. But I know Epic probably going to have a hard time getting that monetized, so I won't go there. But like, man, that's what I thought of as soon as I had saw it. And then the other thing that I was thinking about was, God damn, what a fantastic publicity stunt. Because Kathy Griffin, like, think about it. She's all over the place right now. Every single media outlet is talking about her. She is just like the craze right now. And all because of this photo that she took. Now, look, I get why she did this. Basically, in her defense, not that I'm defending her, I'm just trying to acknowledge what she said in her defense, which is she basically was following up on something that President Trump had said a while back about women and when they have their cycles, when they're on their periods and all that. Remember, bleeding out of her, all that jazz. So she thought she'd kind of make fun of that, right? Here's where I kind of have a little bit of a problem. I've listened to a few of my friends, co-workers talk about this, a few of my colleagues talk about this. And like, one thing I just kind of want to put out there to kind of make you go, like, if she really was following up on those type of things that President Trump was saying, here's my whole thing. She has taken risque photographs in the past. I don't know what's going on with her. I don't know if maybe it's a midlife crisis or what, but she's been dressing a little bit more provocative in recent years. She's been a little bit more flashy, a little bit more bold, right? So, keeping all that in mind, if you're going to do some type of a series of photographs capturing what President Trump had said, the woman, bleeding from her eyes, her ears, and, why not take a picture where you're showing yourself maybe nude and you're kind of like bloody, and you can just run some organs or whatever from right up under the neck of President Trump, this beheaded version of President Trump, and how it can basically connect to your vagina. I don't understand why not take some. I mean, if you're going to be bold, if you're really going to push the envelope or whatever, then why not go in that direction? And I see so many people that's going, this is not funny. This was not. Honestly, for me, when I first looked at it, I thought, what is she thinking? What is she thinking? Does she realize the serious backlash that's going to come from this? I mean, it's like a double-edged sword. On the one hand, she's going to be in the news. She's going to get so much media attention that when it's all said and over, eyes are going to be watching her next move. People are going to be seeing what she's going to be doing next because they're so now intrigued by her. Or some may be triggered by her. That's a new word now, triggered, right? So you got that. But then on the other hand, when you flip the script, you're also kind of going, okay, you're going to have all these eyes that are on you, but now you got this situation where your fans, they're going, yeah, stand up for yourself, Kathy. Yeah, that's the way to. But then on the other side, you've got these people that just feel so offended. They're trying to understand, like, why would she do something like this? Trying to make sense out of it, trying to figure out a way to justify it. I did not think it was funny whatsoever, yet at the same time, another thing that makes our country so beautiful is the freedom of speech. And I, as a artist, I had been an artist for many years, pretty much went back as far as the age of 5. I know how to paint. I know how to draw extremely well. I went to one of the prestigious schools in Washington, D.C., Duke Ellington School of the Arts. Debbie Allen, Dave Chappelle, whole lot of people, whole lot of alumni, big Hollywood celebrity names, honed their craft there before going to college and then doing the damn thing and making it big. So I learned from the very best at that school that I attended. And one of the things that I had learned as a artist is always push yourself. Always try to figure out ways of making yourself stand out from the herd. That is what was always programmed in my head. Do whatever you need to do to get eyes on you, to get eyes on your product, on your art, on your craft, right? So on the one hand, Kathy Griffin, I commend her because she took a simple subject with a little bit of help, and she was able to create a very interesting discussion in America, especially in this day and age, because honestly, for me, if this would have happened maybe in the 1990s, I really don't think people would have been tripping over this, because you go back to the type of music that we had in the 90s, which was dominated by Metallica, dominated by Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, Marilyn Manson, just to name a few. I mean, we had some, and Korn. We had some pretty hardcore fucking bands that were out back in the day. This shit that Kathy did would have fit perfectly in that era. Hell, maybe even the mid-90s, she probably could have gotten away with it. During the 80s, might have been considered a little bit too extreme, but definitely the 90s, early to mid-2000s, oh, she would have been perfect. But see, this day and age that we live in now, a majority of the people that are living in it, the millennials I'm talking about in particular, it is a PG era that we're in. As I like to say, it is a pussified generation that we are in now. The least littlest thing that you say and or do is under the microscope, and if there's any type of sign of what's the right word I'm looking for, of not necessarily disrespect, but if there's any type of a discrepancy that could hint sexism, racism, some type of bigotry, something that just seems unconstitutional, there are so many people that are very quick to throw the white flag out there and cry foul, that it's not even funny. So I appreciate this great thing that we have in this country called freedom of speech, because as an artist, any artist would be able to relate to this. That is such a great freedom to have, whether you say it in speech. I mean, even hate speech, love it or hate it. Just the fact that hate speech is part of, hey, you have the right in this country, in America, you have the right to speak your mind. You can either do it verbally or you can do it artistically, right? So many different levels that you can speak it. But you got to be careful sometimes, because you got to know when it's like, okay, I'm rocking the boat just a little bit too much. If I rock it just a little bit even more, the boat is honestly going to tip over and we all are going to be like gasping for air. We're going to be like crying for a life preserver. So it's like you kind of have to be careful with it. But what she did and how it has so many people talking, it just blows my mind. I don't know if maybe she knew deep down that if she did something like this, it would get a lot of people talking or what, but I hope she really did sit down and really think about the pros and cons to this. I mean, normally in my life, that's how I operate. I make a list in my mind and I think about the pros and cons if I'm getting ready to execute something. I think about the pros as far as, okay, I can benefit from it this way. Cons, if I go this route, these are maybe some of the things, some of the backlashes that can happen as a result if I go this route. So I really hope she had sat down and really thought about it. I just kind of get the impression that she did not. And for CNN to stand their ground and basically fire her, because she did have a job with CNN, honestly, I don't blame CNN for what they had did. I know Anderson Cooper had jumped out there recently and he said, hey, what Kathy Griffin was honestly, what she did was just stupid, but she is still my friend regardless. Look, CNN, I respect them. They are a news outlet organization. There was just no way whatsoever, at least not in this Trump administration, not during this presidency, could she continue to have some type of employment with CNN, not while President Trump is in office and his administration is active. No, not going to happen. So I can understand them putting their foot down and saying, you're out of a job. No, you're out of here. If you're going to do stuff like that, you're out of here. I just kind of wish, honestly, hindsight's 2020. That's some pretty good, steady, decent money coming in from CNN. That's some really good bragging rights to be able to say, hey, you can see me on CNN weekly or nightly or whatever. Hindsight's 2020. I wish that once she took these photos, I wish maybe she would have gone to CNN and said, hey, look, I took these photos. They're thinking about releasing them. What do you guys think? If we were to release these, am I still going to have a job or what? I wish she really could have. Maybe she did. I haven't read anything like that just yet. But the pictures that she took, I didn't find them funny whatsoever. I just kind of looked at it, and the first thing I thought about was Highlander. Then the second thing I thought about was, well, this is a little bit peculiar. This almost kind of comes off like a desperate cry for attention meets, okay, she's kind of playing on words that he had said a while back, but I don't think that's really how you should have approached it from that artistic standpoint. I just don't. And in all the years that I have been watching Kathy Griffin, this move that she did, it was really uncharacteristic. And anybody that has been following her career for a good minute, I think even the most hardcore Kathy Griffin fan would honestly be able to take a step back and say, you know what, Lee and everybody else, it was an uncharacteristic move that she did. It would almost be like all of a sudden George Carlin does something like this, right? Or like all of a sudden No, I don't need to make any more examples. That's perfect right there. I mean, like George Carlin, like just boom, out of nowhere. Or maybe Red Fox. The late Red Fox. Imagine if he was still around and he did something like this. There would be many of us that would be like, man, that's not funny. What the hell? You know who's like more, who has this more up their alley? Danzig. Or maybe a Rob Halford from Judas Priest. This kind of seems like maybe it would be more up their alley. Definitely a Marilyn Manson or a Alice Cooper. You feel where I'm coming from? Kind of seems like it would be more in their direction, that they would maybe do some type of a controversial photo like this. Who's the guy? Henry Rollins. Definitely Henry freaking Rollins. This seems like something that like he would maybe do, right? But Kathy Griffin? The photo could have easily been justified if it was her wearing something very provocative and you're like, man, that looks pretty good, and you're just following the body image that you see. You're looking at her shoulders, her chest, and then as you get ready to go right down in between her legs, everything, you see like these weird bloody little organs or whatever, but it's actually coming from in between her legs and it connects to a beheaded Trump. I think that would have had a lot of people talking. I don't think people would have been laughing their butts off. But if the picture would have been set up in that type of standpoint, and I do know a thing or two about photography. So as far as setting up a landscape, portraits, all that scenery, if it would have been me, that's basically how I would have approached it to her and be like, look, if you really want to go there and you want to basically symbolize that part in his speech that he said a while back, this is how we should do it. That way, without a shadow of doubt, people ain't going to be saying you need to be fired. It's just going to definitely have a lot of people talking, and you're going to get some social media buzz. I think she knew she was going to get social media buzz, but I don't think she anticipated it was going to come in such a way where people were going to be asking her to be fired from CNN, people protesting, don't go to her shows, things of that nature. So that's kind of where I stand on that one. But hey, got people talking. I think even President Trump has to appreciate that. And he may spin it in his own way. You never know. He may be like, nobody even knew who Kathy Griffin was until she did that infamous photo. And now look, everybody wants her. Everybody wants to do some type of an interview with her. Kathy Griffin, you're welcome. You're welcome. See, I do great things for people, even from afar, people that I've never even met before in my life. Kathy Griffin, you're welcome. You're welcome. I can just see that. I can just imagine that right now, how he would just spin that in such a way, right? And then the other crazy thing that had jumped out at me since last I was on the air with you guys, this crazy crap that went down with Bill Maher. Now, anybody that has been a long time supporter of my show, fan of my show, listener, knows how much of a big fan that I am of Bill Maher. I religiously check out Real Time with Bill Maher whenever possible. I'm definitely going to be checking it out this Friday because, man, he's going to have Ice Cube on there. He's going to have Professor and Arthur Michael Eric Dyson. It's going to be jam-packed. Of course, I'm following up on the controversial segment that came about from last Friday's Real Time. I don't know how many of you guys had heard about that, if you were really following it like that, but I actually had posted my reactions to the news initially on Facebook, and if you had missed what I had said, just indulge me. I want to read this to you guys, and it'll kind of get you all caught up to speed here. So let me see if I can actually pull this up. I'm on my Facebook page right now, and by the way, if you want to give me a follow and a like, please feel free to do so. I am on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the RCWR Show. One more time, at the RCWR Show. So just to recap it for you guys, this is what I had said on Facebook. It is It's kind of lengthy, but I brought up a lot of very valid points. So it's knocking out two birds with one stone. It's letting you all know what had went down on last week's Real Time, and then you get my thoughts on the matter. And after I read this, if I have any additional thoughts, I'll apply them once I'm done reading this. But this is how it goes as follows. Been a fan of Bill Maher since at least 1994. I think it's utter bullshit how social media has been ripping him an asshole for calling himself a house nigger after an interview with U.S. Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska. In this exchange, Bill Maher, adults dress up for Halloween? They don't do that in Nebraska? Sasse, it's frowned upon. We don't do that quite as much. Maher, I gotta get to Nebraska more. Sasse, you're welcome. We'd love to have you work in the fields with us. Maher, work in the fields? Senator, I'm a house nigger. That's exactly what he said. Now, before you guys get all upset or whatever, especially those of you that are minorities, doesn't just have to be black, just minorities, period. Hold on. The senator paused, but soon joined in the laughter with the crowd in attendance. Maher has always been a comedic genius with timing, and I honestly thought this was a prime example of that. Sadly, so many fucking people, part of this pussified generation, couldn't take it as a joke and are demanding now HBO fires him, claiming racism, etc. Let me tell you something. In the almost 25 years I've watched Bill Maher, the man has tackled passionately many topics of racial injustice, been a champion of racial equality, and has done his best to expose bigots who do not have minorities opposite Caucasian best at heart. If you actually take the time out, as I have, and have learned everything you could about Maher naturally over the years, the man has a very kind heart and, dare I say, has some black in him. Just as I am a black man with a somewhat white soul, he is the opposite. Just to name some of his personal friends, and these people have gone on record many times and said they were his friend, the highly respected Professor Michael Eric Dyson, Kid Christopher Reed from Kid and Play. Mind you, Kid serves as the musical genius behind the Real Time with Bill Maher theme song and its various remixes through the years. That's his voice you hear through the intro saying "Start the Clock." Spike Lee, D.L. Hughley, Larry Wilmore. Oh, and Bill Maher supported Barack Obama and voted for him twice. Bill spent 8 years trying to get Obama on his show, and he finally got him last season, if I'm not mistaken. One or both of those times, he fronted $1 million towards Obama's campaign. On top of that, Bill has taste for women of all racial backgrounds. Repeatedly, he has been the Bruce Wayne of suave when it comes to his women, many times dating exotic women of color. He's done this in the past, and he's doing it at present. Does he come off as an asshole sometimes? Yes. Does he laugh at his own jokes way too much? Yes. Can he be condescending? Yes. Can he sometimes make you feel slow because you cannot keep up with certain topics and tune out? Big time? Hell yes. Despite all that, I never once, not once, looked at him as a racist. What's really messed up is that if Bill had done this joke at the Apollo Theater in front of a black crowd, really already had some type of a strong black fan base, to say that of a John Witherspoon, his joke would have went over with big laughter. At the end of the day, that's what Bill, Kathy Griffin are. Fucking comedians. I guess gone are the days of us going to a club or event to see a comedian tell jokes, relax the mind, and be free to take a moment and find laughter without being quick to cry foul. I thought that's how we're supposed to get through this crazy world called life. Being able to take a step back within reason, depending on the topic, and have a laugh, go outside the box a moment. I close this thought on this note in a personal photo from my ever-growing collection. About 8 months ago, I went online looking for a really cool original autograph photo of Bill Maher to hang on my wall. Anyone that checks out my live web shows can see all the celebrities I have on my wall. It's not just for show, but to give you insight in my personality, who's been part of my life, who shaped me into the man I am today, as I'm always evolving. As always, when I get new photos, I'm asking my girlfriend what dimension she thinks this photo or that photo is, and eventually we spend a weekend hanging up a few. Had a chance to hang up, I have not had a chance to hang up Bill's pic, but despite the recent news of him, the picture, it will still go up on my wall. And that's because I love and respect Bill. The man is funny and smart. Some may argue the timing of the joke that he made, given all the nooses, the noose ropes and all that's running around on campuses, not to mention the whole Black Lives Matter. I can't dispute that. But the timing is definitely really bad right now. But the whole goddamn part about being a comedian is going out there to the crowd and throwing your jokes out, trying to figure out what sticks and doesn't, and evolve for the better. This is a learning curve for Bill, and he'll need to use this to his advantage to better himself. Trust me. Everyone makes mistakes, but it's what you're going to do going forward that truly defines your character and impact in the world's eyes. The world is watching you now, Bill, more than ever. The next move is yours. Make it the right one. And that's pretty much how I close it out. And you can see this really cool picture of Bill Maher. And shout out to Epic Sports. You're more than welcome to use that photo on the Epic Sports page if you want. But that's where I stand with that. So I wrote that a couple of days ago. I still stand behind everything that I had said with regards to what I wrote on Facebook. And not once did you hear me mention in that piece, and by the way, this is coming from an African American, or this is coming from a black man, but if I gotta officially put my stamp on it, and look, I'm not the only black guy that feels this way. My best friend Brian, who is black, the man literally said the same goddamn thing that I had said a couple of days ago, and he's like, this is bullshit. Like, this dude is a comedian. He's like, yeah, some of his jokes, they're not really funny or whatever, but hell no, dude's not a bigot in any type of way. And my friend Brian's been watching Bill Maher off and on for almost about the same length of time as I have. So trust me when I say that there are a decent amount of black people, there are a decent amount of Hispanics, there are a decent amount of Asians. See, that's the thing. We got so many people coming out of the woodworks crying, oh, Bill Maher's racist, Bill Maher's this, Bill Maher's that. And guess what? They never even spent a damn Friday night checking out his show. That's the messed up part. You either have that, or you got somebody that maybe has only been watching his show for a couple of months or maybe like a year, and just based off of that, they think they know everything about him. See, when you got guys like me, when you got guys like my friend Brian and his wife, and others that have spent years and years and years checking out Bill Maher. We go back to when he had his first show, Politically Correct, and that thing went on ABC, but then all that controversial crap that went down with his comments on 9/11, we've been watching him since way back then, so we already know what this guy is about. Some of us have had opportunities to see him in concert and continue to see him in concert, right? So I'm very curious to see how they go about this show coming up on Friday. I know a lot of people are going to be watching it. I can't wait to hear his opening monologue. I don't know if that maybe is going to be like a dramatic departure from his traditional monologue or what, but it's going to be very, very interesting. I can't wait for it. I'm definitely going to be checking it out. I'm probably going to have to DVR it because I'm probably going to be working at that point in time, but I'm definitely going to be checking it out. So, but best wishes. I just wish that as a society, we all can just really loosen up. It's amazing how all of us can get together and we can like cry foul over. And yeah, Colin Kaepernick, a guy that, again, everything ties back to freaking freedom of speech. Here is a quarterback in Colin Kaepernick who, and don't hit me up with the BS line, oh, you slobbing on Colin Kaepernick. No, because Colin Kaepernick, honestly, not even my favorite quarterback. He's not even in my top 5. He's not even in my top 10. All right. So this crap that's going on with Colin Kaepernick, who took the knee, we know why he took the knee. And the great dialogue that was caused as a result of him taking that knee that spread all throughout America in many households, and how he's being blackballed by the NFL. And like, I don't see a bunch of protests or whatever coming about for this guy, but like, we got this other silly crap that's happening on the other side here, like with Bill Maher and all this other crap. And, when you just tie everything together, love it or hate it, you got to learn to live with it. Freedom of speech is the most valuable thing that we have here in America. And to a certain degree, hate speech is part of that. And we can say, do what we want, and do it in a way that we feel is most artistic. All about self-expression. Express yourself, right? So, craziness, man. Craziness. Hey, the RCWR show has listeners all over the world, man. I mean, we're really popular, I believe, in Singapore, America, Canada, Australia, Brazil, I definitely, Spain, I definitely want to send a big shout out to our audience over in London, because for many years, and it just continues, the RCWR show has gotten a lot of love from those in London, those in the UK. I mean, my God, so you look at what had went down with that Ariana Grande concert some weeks back, and you're like, ooh, god damn. But then you follow that up with last week's June London attacks. I mean, that was just horrific. That was just freaking horrific. 8 people killed, 48 injured, including 4 unarmed police officers who basically were attempting to stop the assailants, the 3 attackers. My heart goes out. I mean, that is just, it's so heartbreaking. It's just so freaking sad that we continue to have these despicable terroristic acts that's happening in this world. And at the same time, it just really makes me crave results even more. It really makes me want to see NATO really get together and just really nip this freaking ISIS crap in the bud already. I mean, seriously. I always hated when innocents, especially when it comes to children, are involved in heinous attacks like this. It's just despicable. It just reeks of being a coward when it's all said. I don't like it, but London, as always, I mean, they've had their share of incidents over the years. They will continue to grow strong, and they know that they've got a good friend in North America. Despite what's going on with our current president, they know that deep down America has them in their hearts, in their prayers. the entire world. So we're definitely with you during this time right now. By the way, the crap that President Trump had said, I read that crap, criticizing the London mayor after the attack. I want to make sure we really stress this. I really want to make sure that we stress this. So he put out a statement on Twitter last Sunday basically saying at least 7 dead and 48 wounded in terror attack, and Mayor of London says there is no reason to be alarmed. Basically he took a piece of what the mayor had said that wasn't the complete statement and basically was criticizing the London mayor as a result of that, when in actuality you could see it, you couldn't deny it. So I mean, even a Trump supporter would be like, well, President Trump did screw up right there, because you can see the mayor in video and audio presentation. You can hear him in just audio, but you got the embassy London, the U.S. Embassy London, they confirm what the mayor of London actually said, and then you got a representative for the mayor of London. Basically, he said, and I quote, "Just like terrorists are constantly evolving, finding new ways to disrupt us, harm us, attack us, the police and experts and all of us are finding new ways to keep us safe. Londoners will see an increased police presence today and over the course of the next few days. No reason to be alarmed. One of the things police and all of us need to do is make sure we're as safe as we possibly can be. I'm reassured that we are one of the safest global cities in the world, if not the safest global city in the world. But we always evolve and review ways to make sure we remain as safe as we possibly can." That's what he said in its entirety. And if I were to give just one piece of advice to President Trump, it would definitely be, when you see something that really makes you want to just sink your teeth into it, you really want to jump out there and comment on it, respectfully, Mr. President, take your time, do your research, make sure that all your X's and O's are covered before you speak on that topic, because anybody else noticing a pattern, all right, not hating on President Trump in any type of way, not trying to show favoritism towards a certain party, just really kind of stop and think about it. You've dealt with these type of people before in your life where they'll say one thing and then they have to pedal back. They have to backtrack afterwards, and they have to do some type of a statement retraction, right? And every single time that seems to be the case with President Trump. And for the love of me, what I really do not understand is why people in his administration just, like, why have they not done already an intervention with him and saying this needs to stop? You can't keep going on social media and saying these things, because every time you do this, you're putting yourself in such a serious jam that you make it really hard for us and the Republican Party to bail you out. You're making it very difficult for all of us, but most importantly for yourself. He wouldn't need to say, "Oh, I think we need to be done with reporters and giving press interviews and holding meetings and briefings. I think we need to be done with the press media altogether. Maybe I'll just answer 1 or 2 questions that's sent to me in the mail a couple of days before so I can have time to..." No, you wouldn't need to do any of those things if you honestly were more thorough. It's no different than a radio show host. It's no different than what I do every single week. What I do is internet radio for you guys. So I have an idea of the topics that I want to talk about, but if I need to do some type of cross-referencing about something, I know how to sit down, cross all my X's and O's, so that when I'm in front of you guys on the microphone or in front of a webcam and microphone, I'm bringing it to you. And every single time President Trump jumps out there, it's like, okay, he's not well informed. So my advice, he's got to get this down already. He's got to get this down already. Just continues to make him look bad. My God. So, other than that, that's pretty much the only other crazy thing. I definitely wanted to get those couple of topics off of my chest, because it was just kind of like, oh, what the hell is going on here, man? So on a little bit of a lighter note, we can switch it up a little bit. We could talk a little bit about some wrestling that came about. Looking at how we're doing on time, I know I had played a boatload of music earlier, so we're actually doing pretty good. There's only a couple of topics that I want to get into. I did not watch SmackDown. I was so busy. I was really burned out, and I had decided I was just going to spend some quality time with the missus. But from the little bit that I had heard, didn't really miss much. So let me see if I got this straight. Lana came out on SmackDown, and she pretty much had demanded that she be put in the Money in the Bank women's ladder match, right? And all the girls were heckling her, laughing at her, basically saying, what the hell have you done to even warrant a spot Money in the Bank? What have you done? Right? Not a goddamn thing, apparently. So all the girls on the roster, they're heckling her, they're laughing at her, and it's kind of like, nope, that ain't happening. But am I understanding this right? Some silly crap had happened later on during the night where apparently Lana had tripped up Naomi. Now, did this trip up come about in some type of a tag match or whatever? I believe it did, because it was Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Naomi taking on Natalya, Carmella, and Tamina Snuka. So basically, closing moments of that matchup, Lana, she came walking out. Naomi was fighting off Natty and Tamina. She then tried to turn her attention to Lana. Naomi turns back around and kicks Tamina from the apron. Lana takes Naomi's legs out, and she goes down on the apron. That distraction basically had set up Tamina connecting with a super kick on Naomi for the win. And like afterwards, Naomi rushes to Shane McMahon and says, you saw what she did to me, right? She's got to pay. She's got to pay big time. You know what? I want her. I want her one-on-one, and it's going to be for the women's title. And Shane's like, okay, you got it. Now look, I did not watch SmackDown, but just hearing that, because sometimes when I'm not able to watch my shows, I do like some of you guys. I'll read the results. Like once it's complete, it's televised. Sometimes, because it feels like I actually did watch it, so I'll go back and I'll read what I missed. And I gotta tell you, when I read how that played out, I just felt, storyline wise, because I know a thing or two about writing, that was the most stupidest booking that you could have possibly done. Now, before anybody tries to say, Lee, you're kind of contradicting yourself, because, Lee, were you not the same person, if not a week ago, 2 weeks ago, issuing a great concern about what is Naomi's role going to be at Money in the Bank? Were you not the same guy that said, hey, it would be awesome if Naomi was part of the Money in the Bank women's ladder match, because it's the first time ever that they're doing something like this, and why not just make it be for the women's title, right? Or let Naomi defend her title at Money in the Bank. Let it be maybe against a mystery opponent or whatever. Lee, aren't you that same guy that said you wanted to see either one of those scenarios play out? Yes, I am that same Lee. Okay, so Lee, you're going to see Naomi at Money in the Bank. Why complain? I am complaining because look at how that basically was set up. So Lana comes out. She wants to be in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, she gets shut down. Yet she trips up Naomi in a match, basically causes Naomi and her team to lose. And how is Lana rewarded? Lana is rewarded by getting a title shot, an undeserving title shot, against Naomi at Money in the Bank. Stupid. Absolutely stupid. Honestly, what should have went down was Shane McMahon saying, okay, Naomi, you want a piece of Lana? All right, you're going to get it. I'm going to get you what you want. I'm going to give you your wish. You're going to take on Lana. But hey, it's going to be a non-title matchup. That's honestly how it should have went down. They should have said it was going to be a non-title matchup. And you could have done that non-title matchup on next week's SmackDown. And or push comes to shove, honestly, next week on SmackDown, you could have maybe had Lana. You could have had Lana maybe come to some type of a arrangement with the welcoming committee. And look, let me tell you something. If you've been watching SmackDown, you look at this whole welcoming committee. They're the welcoming committee. They pretty much don't like newcomers that's like coming into their groove of things, coming into their mojo, stirring up their coffee. They got like a serious issue with that, right? Okay, so if they got a serious issue and all that, that's another thing, and it's nice to know that great minds think alike, because there were definitely a lot of you guys on social media that was like, well, wait a minute, now Lana's coming in here, and like, what's up with the welcoming committee? Because y'all sure as hell, and based on the results that I read, it didn't seem as though before Lana and the welcoming committee, it didn't exactly come off as though there was some type of past affiliation, like, oh, honey, it's good to see you again. Where you been? How you been? It didn't come off like that. So it's just weird on so many levels. Because, like, think about it for a second. Everybody remembers when fucking Charlotte had first popped up on SmackDown, and the welcoming committee, they weren't feeling her. They thought, like, well, you come over here and you think you're just going to get stuff handed to you? Yeah, this is SmackDown, the land of opportunity, but like you coming over here thinking you all that smelling like roses, like you going to get stuff handed to you? Nah, we the welcoming committee. It ain't going down like that. We going to beat you into a pulp. We going to show you some tough love. We going to break you in. That's how we going to do it. Honestly, I thought if there was any type of a shtick with the welcoming committee, it would be just that. How sweet, fresh meat. And they basically would be like picking on that new piece of talent for a couple of weeks. It just really kind of signifies to me that WWE just honestly does not know what the hell they're doing with that welcoming committee, that there really is no direction. They just decided they wanted to just put a whole bunch of people together just to try to see what could possibly play out. Quite honestly. And I definitely need to give a shout out to Don Tony. I told you guys, it's rare that I'm in a position where I get to check out other shows these days. I try not to, because honestly, I've kind of gotten to that point now where I'm more interested in putting my time and energy as much as humanly possible into what I'm putting out there for you guys every single week. But I had one of my listeners send me a private message on social media, and he was like, Lee, you got to check out what DT had said about this whole welcoming committee. You know, do you agree? Do you disagree? And I listened to it, and I was like, that's what I've been saying. I didn't say it point blank, but I did allude to that. So I thought what DT had said, his perspective on that, I couldn't agree more. But I mean, again, honestly, what a lot of you guys were saying about social media. I mean, the booking from that standpoint, very stupid. Just very, very, very stupid. That's not how I would have done it. Honestly, I would have just went on ahead and I would have had Naomi give some type of a open invitation at Money in the Bank to face any woman on the roster, to come face her. Any woman that is currently part of the WWE roster, not SmackDown roster, any woman that is part of the WWE roster that wants to come and face her for the title. And I would have been fine with that. I would have been fine with that. Stupid. It's just stupid how they're doing it. And it also makes me really question what is going on with Naomi's title reign, for the simple fact her title reign right now, it really comes off like a joke. And I don't like that, because the way it's kind of being made to feel right now is if Naomi is some type of a transitional champion. You like how I did that? I had to stop and think about that, because I was getting ready to say transsexual champion. I was getting ready to go there, but no. So other than that, other than those 2 points, I really don't have anything else more to add about SmackDown, which sucks too, because I was really looking forward to checking out this week's SmackDown, but I missed so much of it that it wasn't even freaking funny. So I think what I'll probably end up doing is I'll probably catch up on SmackDown this weekend, because I know usually NBC Universal, they do a little bit of a block of Raw and SmackDown. So 9 times out of 10, I'll go on ahead and I'll check it out that way. And I think what I'll probably end up doing is maybe offer some exclusive audio on YouTube and talk about SmackDown a little bit more that way. But those 2 areas definitely was kind of what the hell? Seriously, man. I did hear that the AJ Styles versus Dolph Ziggler match was pretty damn good. I see my man Mojo Rawley had returned. He had faced Jinder Mahal. I need to check that out. Let's talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw. How we doing on Showtime, by the way? Oh, we're still doing fantastic on Showtime. That's good. Let's talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw. So, hey, man, not to toot my horn a little bit, man, but I was on the Extreme Rules after show, and if you all recall, and you can find it on Epic Sports, I had said, if you want to get Samoa Joe some instant heat, let him come out 24 hours later on Monday Night Raw and choke out Paul Heyman. That's how you get that heat. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. I love the interaction between Paul Heyman and Samoa Joe. That just was oozing good, to the point I legitimately would love to see Paul Heyman have Samoa Joe. I would love to see Samoa Joe be a Paul Heyman guy. I think he would fit very well into that. Very well. Love their chemistry, though. That was some really great chemistry that they had going on. Kurt Angle still doing the whole, who is saying this messed up stuff about me? I already went into details about that last week. Couple of theories that I felt could have possibly happened. Dean Ambrose, Elias Sampson, they had locked it up. I'm trying to remember what happened with that matchup, by the way. Actually, no, it wasn't even a matchup. No, Elias Sampson was just playing his guitar, and Dean Ambrose came out pretty pissed off, and they started fighting each other. If I'm not mistaken, that's how it had went down. See, what else? That really wasn't anything that was that interesting about Raw this week. I'm actually just skimming ahead here. Raw was pretty crappy. Now that I kind of think about it, the Dean Ambrose crashing the Miz's Intercontinental title comeback tour celebration. Love that. That was a nice little spot right there. Dean kind of having the Shield look there too. Anybody else kind of peeped that out? I was liking that. That was a nice little beatdown that he did to the Miz. I like how Miz was all paranoid and how he was doing the Ric Flair on the grandfather clock while it was still inside the gift wrap. That was hilarious. Didn't he beat the crap out of the dancing bear? I can't believe nobody had caught on, by the way, to what I had said. Because, like, we see the dancing bear, and automatically I was thinking about that sex website, the dancing bear. Oh, my God. Y'all don't know about that. Let me just say, I hope you're over the age of 18. That's all I got to say. But that was a really good segment that they did. I don't really have too much more to add to that. Like I said, I love the fact that Miz and Ambrose are now like really gelling well with each other. Now they're doing some pretty good, interesting stuff TV wise. I like how the booking is coming about with that. We saw a little bit of jealous Big Cass try to somewhat talk up a good game to the Big Show, because he didn't like the fact that somebody had attacked Big Cass from behind, laid him out real good, and it just so happens Enzo Amore needed a tag partner. Enzo called in a favor, asked Big Show to team with him. Big Cass really wasn't liking that. He felt that maybe Big Show had attacked him from behind. Big Show told him straight up, dude, you'd see me coming straight on. As tall as I am, as big as I am, I'm not going to do stuff from behind. I'm going to just do it straight up to your face. So, I don't know, got a little bit of a mean streak there going on in Big Cass. Kind of coming off pretty jaded, kind of smug. That's the right word I want to say. He's coming off a bit smug. We had a Raw Women's title match between Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss. That pretty much had ended in a disqualification. Alexa Bliss won via disqualification. Basically, that match pretty much ended with Nia continuing to dominate on Bliss as Dana and Mickie James were looking on at ringside. Bliss had rolled to the floor for a breather, and she then crawled on the floor, looked to see Dana and Mickie. She shoved Dana, then Mickie. Bliss attacks them both, but gets hit right back for the disqualification. So that's pretty much how it came about. And Nia Jax was pretty pissed off. I mean, she was just laying all the girls out. I don't believe she managed to get a hold of Alexa Bliss. Nowhere on here was Bayley, by the way. I'll touch a little bit more about that in a second. Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe. I actually had watched that main event match. That was a damn good main event closer. Samoa Joe winning that one. And he needed that, quite honestly. At this point, smart booking, continue to build him up, get him ready for Brock Lesnar at the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view coming up in a couple of weeks. Bayley, and I got to give a shout out once again to our family / listeners over at Epic Sports. There were a couple of really good valid points that they were bringing up. A lot of the folks over at Epic Sports, they so want to see Bayley go the heel route. And I love keeping it honest, keeping it insightful, and keeping it interactive. And I definitely want to show some of the listeners over at Epic Sports some love and read some of the comments. Take, for example, Thomas. Thomas said, wow. Bayley is hella good in the ring. PG era needs to go. People have to stop with how someone looks. Fucking humans need to get your shit together so we could join the real world. Anyway, I do agree about not getting mad shit. Basically, it was following up on the pay-per-view match, not having that mean streak. She should just one night go off on everyone in the ring, in the back, to anyone leaving. then returns to normal. Hell, she should turn to Bray Wyatt or actually Sister Abigail. She does need a swift kick in the ass. Element 423, heel turns do not work with everyone. It sure as hell will not work with Bayley. It's simple. Do away with the inflatables. Let her hair down and go out that side ponytail. Expand the moveset and change the entrance and finisher. Give her more of a rebellious outcast type look to where you can tell it's definitely anti-authority and still have a positive feeling and message to it. Basically saying, instead of trying to make a female John Cena, create a female Jeff Hardy or a female Daniel Bryan. They worked. They never got stale. John Cena did. Let her get a little bit edgy on the mic and stop being so protected. I've heard her curse once on camera. You know how many times the word bitch has come out of every woman's mouth on Raw or SmackDown Live? Why does she have to be this cowering, scared character with no confidence whatsoever? Give her the opportunity to show confidence and be edgy like the rest of the women on the roster. Stop protecting her. And this was pretty much like the main theme that I kept seeing. People really just kind of saying, like that one, like what Element was saying, either let her go the more edgier route but still being a true babyface, or let her go the heel route. Maybe let her go the Sister Abigail route or whatever. What I would like for you guys to do, and I think it would be a nice discussion for next week. I tried to look for it. I didn't really do it as long as I had wanted to because I had got interrupted. But somebody do me a solid. If you can, see if you can find me some data. Most accurate data on female superstars currently in the WWE. I'm curious, who is the top merchandise pusher? Who is the top female merchandise pusher? I want to see the list. And I'm under the impression that maybe Bayley, if she's not at number one, she's got to be at least in the top three. I say that because when you have a situation where somebody is generating some really good revenue for you like that, when you have a situation where someone is doing some really good PR stuff for you, and they're connecting with the kids on so many levels, you really do not want to rock that boat because you're going to be hurting your sales at the same time. Make no mistake about it. I said to you guys a long time ago that if WWE had did Bayley right, she would basically be like your female John Cena. Basically, she would be your female Hulk Hogan. That's basically the direction I was going. She would be like your awesome cash cow. I do agree that with what's currently going on with her character, the mic work for one, it does come off, the Bayley character, she does come off pretty bland in a way where it's very one-dimensional, right? You know, it's like, it doesn't matter the entrance, it doesn't matter the different attires that she may have. When she comes out there and she gets on the microphone, it is just so, it's pulling teeth. It's pulling teeth trying to get through a promo of hers. And like I said the other night, that's why you have so many other girls that were coming out trying to help her out in some of those damn segments and honestly trying to do their part in helping her get over. Do I agree with what you guys... Yeah, I mean, if I was booking Bayley at this point, let that beating that she had took at the hands of Alexa Bliss, put that in a position where she gets some type of a burning fire in her gut and she just starts letting off some type of a mean streak. I'm hoping, I know some of you guys are like, I had one guy, my God, one guy was just really not feeling what I was saying about Bayley, and I told him straight up, I said, I hope for your sake and my sake that what you're thinking is going to be going down with Bayley is going to happen, and it's going to happen within like the next 3 weeks, because honestly, I think the majority, we want to see Bayley succeed on the roster. We want to see her thrive big time. But I got to tell you, to that person that was feeling the way that they were feeling, you look at this, no Bayley. Storyline wise, they said, oh, she's just off selling the injuries. Okay, well, let's see what happens next week, shall we? Let's see how there's the rebound from that. Other than that, there really wasn't anything else as far as Raw that was of remote interest to me. Did you guys hear about this damn girl, Trisha Paytas, and how she basically had talked about how she was stood up from a WWE superstar? It actually turns out it was Dolph Ziggler. Airing all this personal stuff out there. Look, I get it. I understand it. She felt stood up. She didn't really appreciate it. I mean, she slammed. You got to check out the audio. I mean, she slammed the living hell out of Dolph Ziggler. And, one thing that we've been hearing about Dolph Ziggler, man, like when he gets the women in between the sheets, he's pretty good at what he does. He's definitely a show off. That's what we keep hearing about him. But for those of you that's like, who the hell is this girl? She's basically a YouTube vlogger, and she basically did this big old tirade on Dolph Ziggler after being stood up. And she also had made the claim that Dolph Ziggler plans on leaving the WWE soon. So just kind of get you guys caught up to speed on this girl in a nutshell. Because honestly, I'm saving you the trouble so you don't have to. Because honestly, I really didn't particularly care. You all talk about, Lee, some of us don't like your voice. Well, I definitely didn't like this girl's voice. So I had it on mute as I was just listening to the damn captioning. But she basically had said she's maintained contact with Dolph Ziggler over the last couple of months. And they've been communicating through social media apps. They've also been texting. And that they had made plans to get together for some drinks. Looks like last week or whatever, but he ended up bailing late at night. And after getting a text from Ziggler stating he was going to flake on their meetup after getting off a late night flight, she just did this whole insane, it was a bunch of garbage that she had put out there. Now, you know what, in Dolph Ziggler's defense, I mean, this girl's a vlogger. All she does is videos all day. Whether she's doing these videos all day at one location or maybe she's mobile and she's doing it that way. That's the thing with a WWE superstar. You're not on the road 365 days a year, but you're definitely on the road. Somebody help me out with the magical number. I think it's maybe 275 right about now. It's definitely nowhere near. It's not at 300. It's like 200 and something, right? So you got those. You got your media obligations. I mean, if you're lucky, you may have a situation where you're able to be home for about 2 days, but then you got to go right back out on the road. Maybe when the holidays come up, if you're lucky, maybe you can do 3 days, depending on which holiday break is coming up. But for the most part, you're on the road. You're doing the house shows. Hey, sooner or later, you're going to get a little bit tired and you're going to say, yeah, you know what? That sounded good, but I changed my mind. I just want to relax tonight, right? So she calls him a celebrity fuckboy and a cocky asshole. She's said that about Dolph Ziggler numerous times. It's like, yeah, he's matching up the show-off character very well. So what else you got? You're not telling us anything new. She said that despite reading out Dolph's text word for word, where he repeatedly apologized and even stated that he was going to flake on their plans before getting on the plane. It looks like Dolph Ziggler may have dodged a bullet on this one, but that's for y'all to really decide about. But the one piece of news out of this big epic rant that was interesting from Paytas is that she stated Dolph Ziggler is going to be leaving wrestling soon, shortly after concluding her audio explosion on Dolph Ziggler and on the wrestling fans. There was just a big old pile of hate that was coming at her from WWE fans, and they just were not feeling this girl. Now look, you guys got to remember, Dolph Ziggler, he was thinking about leaving the WWE in late 2016, but he came to some type of a agreement with the WWE. Supposedly maybe it was going to be for another year or another couple of years. We definitely were hearing that it wasn't anything long term, this new deal that he had signed. So for her to put this guy's information out there and react the way that she reacted, it just really made her come off very unprofessional, for one. And then number two, this is a person that you definitely cannot trust with sensitive information, because they're putting your shit out there. And unless they have been a wrestler themselves, only a wrestler will be able to relate to what it's like to be on the road and everything that goes along with it. This girl, honestly, to me, she came off a little bit mentally unstable. Unstable in such a way where, because she was not able to get her way, have it her way, like that fucking Burger King commercial. By the way, on the side note, what do you all think of that nasty ass mac and cheese bites from Burger King? I wouldn't personally eat the shit. That shit looks very disgusting. It looks like it gives you the bubble guts and all that, but I love the freaking commercial that they got running around. Return of the Mac. At BK, Return of the Mac. Oh my God! I love that. I love that shit, man. That commercial is hilarious. But you see how the black guy with the shades is looking at it as the mac and cheese bites are being opened up. He's looking at it like, what the fuck is that? That nasty. That's how he's literally looking. But no, like, seriously, she comes off as somebody that can get very offended, very jaded, very jealous, just comes off kind of unstable. And when you have a person that's like that, that speaks large volumes. That speaks very deadly. And let me tell you something, and I've learned this over the years, and I learned it very easily. And I say this for a reason. When you are in a position like I am, where you've been doing your show for, God, I've been doing this for 6 years now. You happen to come across people in and outside certain industries. And I tell you, when you're able to make an acquaintance / friend out of them, that is something that when you are given that opportunity, you really hold it. You really cherish it. Really hold it very dear to your heart, because it's hard to make those type of relationships. And I can tell you that I have been in situations where I have gotten sensitive information. The stuff that I can tell you, that I wish I could tell you, that I can't, because that would be a violation of trust. And I remember there was some guy on Epic Sports the other day, and he didn't like my Vince McMahon impression, and it had to do with the whole Alexa Bliss and the whole studs around her butt and my whole little conspiracy theory And I told you guys, I said I didn't marinate on this for weeks. It was just honestly an observation. And I kind of took notes for a couple of weeks. And honestly, I said just take this for what it's worth. And there was a majority of the fans that honestly, I think that clip alone on Epic had got like about maybe almost close to 2,000 views. And there was like about maybe 70 likes, 15 dislikes. So, I mean, a majority of the people, they liked it. And there were a couple of people that was like, nah, Lee, didn't really notice it now that you said that. Another person was like, I think I kind of see what you're talking about, man. Yeah, that's a good point. But this one guy was just so critical. And he started bashing me, and it really kind of came off like dude had beef. And very politely, I tried to tell him who I was, how long I've been around, position I've been in, and he tried to throw out there how he knew Taz or some other stuff like that. And I remember, long story short, I sent him a private message just like trying to get down to the bottom of what was his issue with me. I never heard back from him. I guess he really had appreciated what I said in the message. But I remember at one point he was like, tell me who all you know. And it's like, no, my friend, you of all people should know, especially if you say that you worked with Taz or whatever. You don't be broadcasting who you know. You don't. Now, one name I got no problem putting out there is my good friend and broadcast partner, the evil genius of professional wrestling, Mr. Titus Machiavelli. I got no problem putting his name out there. Me and him go way back, and the great stuff that he's been able to do at the NRW promotion is freaking awesome. He's come to have a very close working relationship with Vince Russo, almost to the point that the two of them are friends. I know at one point Titus actually hosted in place of Vince Russo, as he had to take care of some personal stuff. So that's about as far as I'll go. Like, even on my personal Facebook page, and if I get a friend request that I don't recognize, I'll block you. If I don't recognize you, I'll block you. On my Facebook page, though, like, I have an inner circle, and there's certain people I stay connected to. There's people that I stay connected to that are connected to other people, and I'm able to find out what they've been doing, things of that nature. You don't violate that form of trust when you're in a position where you're able to obtain very sensitive information. And I'm telling you guys, when you're a professional wrestler and you're connected to a New Japan Pro Wrestling or a Ring of Honor or the WWE, and you're given some sensitive information from a superstar, and they're thinking that you're keeping that information in total confidence, but you are only putting that information out there after the fact because something didn't go your way, so you're putting this information out there out of spite. That is how you lose an associate. That is how you lose a friend. So I really hope this girl appreciates the views that she was able to get, the potential subscribers that she was able to get. She definitely had made some decent money off of those videos. I know she also came back and did a sequel to that video bashing the WWE fans. Well, look, honey, that wouldn't have happened in the first place had you just kept your mouth shut. Honestly, if it would have been me, why vlog about it? I'm so mad at this person. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to vlog. No. If you're that mad, you say, hey, Dolph, we had this plan for blah, 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 and for you to do me like that, that's just wrong. You know what? Lose my number. I'm not interested in talking to you anymore. That's honestly how you handle a situation. But I hope Dolph, if he's smart, and he's a very smart guy, hopefully he went on ahead and he deleted her contact information, all her social media stuff, and blocked her. Because my advice to Dolph, stay away from that girl. Stay away from her. Seriously. But what is up with Dolph and thick blondes? Dolph loves him some thick women, I see. I knew there was something about Dolph I loved, and Dolph really loves him some thick ass women. He loved him some thick ass blonde white women. That sounds like a good combination. Yeah, me and him got a lot in common, I see. Seriously, we got a lot in common. Let's see, what other topics can we get into? We're pretty much getting ready to wind it down for the night. What other topics do I want to get into? I see Dalton Castle. There's rumblings that he might be coming to the WWE. His contract with Ring of Honor is set to expire by the end of this month. Dudes, if it does go down, honestly, he's 31 years of age. He's still got a long ways to go. Send his ass to NXT. I would love to see him go to NXT. The one time I want for Ring of Honor and WWE to make some type of an arrangement, I want for WWE to buy the licensing rights to that damn song, that entrance song of his, and or do even better, make an arrangement with Queen, see if they can get a discount. Oh my, I want it all. Can you just imagine Dalton Castle, NXT, coming out to the actual song itself from Queen? That would be like a freaking mark out moment, or at least do it in a way where it's guaranteed that you're going to be able to hear the Queen version for the 4 major pay-per-views, for definitely all the takeover pay-per-view events. That would be awesome. Anybody that's been listening to my show knows how much of a big fan I am of Dalton Castle. His entrance, oh my god, the entrance alone, his promos, but the entrance alone. You think Shinsuke Nakamura's got an entrance? Dalton Castle's entrance alone. If you've yet to see Dalton Castle's entrance, do yourself a favor, go online and look up his entrance. It is killer. It is freaking killer. You will love it. Trust me. I love to see him in the WWE. I've been wanting to see him in the WWE for a couple of years now. So I'm hoping that this rumor is true and something will actually come to fruition. More on that as it comes. One of the first feuds somewhere down the road I would love to see him have when he finally comes up on the main roster. I want to see him in a feud with Chris Jericho. I just feel they have enough great chemistry. They would make that feud very memorable. Very memorable. And also I saw Christopher Daniels. He recently did a interview where he talked about if there's anybody else he wanted to wrestle that he's like kind of like yet to face. And he's what, like 47 years of age now? He basically said Chris Jericho. So he said he's yet to face Chris Jericho, and it's kind of sad because Jericho's with the WWE, and WWE has passed up on him so many times. He personally feels that that's a match that's never going to happen. I tell you what, if Chris Jericho can have it his way, maybe ROH and WWE can make some type of a arrangement. I would love to, because we haven't seen it in a good minute. I would love to see some type of a crossover, and we have not seen that in a very, very good minute. I would love to see that before both of these guys retire. That honestly, when I think about dream matches, that's actually one that I would really, aside from Jericho taking on Dalton Castle, that has to be another dream match of my ultimate dream match, which is Chris Jericho taking on Christopher Daniels under the WWE umbrella. I would love to see that freaking go down. Or it could be ROH, but the bigger payday for me, let it go down at WWE. Could be one of the major 4 pay-per-views. And you guys remember 5-Star Wrestling? Remember how last month they tried to offer CM Punk $1 million to come and perform for their wrestling event? Well, they have postponed all their wrestling events for this year until 2018. And they're putting some BS line out there talking about, oh, well, with the London attacks and all. Well, ain't that a crock of you know what? Look, it goes back to what I had said a couple of weeks ago. If they were really serious about doing something with CM Punk, put your money where your mouth is. Go out there, get yourself a cashier's check. I said this, you can find it on Epic Sports. I said if the owner was freaking serious, go out there, get a cashier's check or get a money order for $1 million. Go to the bank, do whatever you got to do. Get $1 million. Make it out to Phil Brooks. Then see if you can get his freaking attention. And CM Punk didn't respond to it because honestly, deep down, I think your man knew it was a bunch of bull. And sure enough, it was a bunch of bull. You know, I honestly felt in my heart of hearts that what he was looking to do was try to get a little bit of buzz for his promotion. CM Punk going, oh yeah, sure, let's go ahead, let's do it. And basically CM Punk would have been paid that way. You got CM Punk and now everybody's flocking with the money. That's basically how they probably were thinking it was going to go down. But I don't even think they would have came close to raising that amount of money and then turning right back around and giving it to CM Punk. Just signals to me that this promoter never was really serious, never had any intention of really being aggressive and going after CM Punk, because you wouldn't need to cancel your events. And this crap about, because of the bombings, okay, I can understand 2 weeks. I can understand maybe 3 weeks. But come on, man, we got like about, 7 months left for this calendar year? And you saying everything's canceled until 2018? Yeah, you sound fishy in my book, brother. Yeah, I don't trust you one little bit. NBA Finals, man, I haven't been able to really check out the series as much as I would love to, but I cannot believe how this is playing out. So this Friday, Golden State Warriors, they are going to be in a prime position. They found themselves in the same position basically last year. But now you kind of got to flip it. Now you got to flip it, because correct me if I'm wrong, last year Golden State Warriors was down 0-3 and they did the comeback of comebacks. Or no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was freaking the Cavs. Cavs were down 0-3 if I'm not mistaken, and they did one hell of a sweet freaking comeback. I don't know. Maybe I think I messed that up. Maybe it's the other way around. Regardless, Cleveland Cavaliers down 0-3, and I don't see it happening. I do not see it happening. I just don't. Nutshell, LeBron needs more help. LeBron needs more help. They're going to have to do some serious trading. They're going to have to be paying attention to the free agency market this offseason. Because basically, it's LeBron James taking on the entire Golden State Warriors. From just a little bit of highlights that I've been able to see, a little bit of recaps I've been able to check out late at night, yeah, it's basically looking like LeBron taking on the whole freaking team, man. But I'm already going to give it out there. Congratulations to the Golden State Warriors. Hey, you guys hear? They're going to be doing a table for 3 in the very near future with Vince McMahon. I hope this is true. I'm just like thinking, who could be sitting down with Vince McMahon for dinner? Me personally, I wouldn't mind Vince McMahon, Pat Patterson, Michael Hayes, or Vince McMahon, Pat Patterson, Jim Ross. Or you can do Vince McMahon, Paul Heyman, Jim Ross. It will never, ever, ever happen. I wish it could under different circumstances, but I would love to see Vince McMahon, Gorilla Monsoon, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Another one that jumps out at me just from a generational standpoint, I would love to see Vince McMahon, Hulk Hogan, and John Cena. Or you can do Vince McMahon, Steve Austin, John Cena. I mean, the combinations that you can do would just be freaking endless. I would also love to see freaking Cowboy Bill Watts, Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff. or give me Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff, Jim Cornette. The combinations you can do with Vince McMahon would just be freaking endless. But if you're telling me Vince McMahon is actually going to do that, give it to me. I want to see it. I want to see it ASAP. I didn't get a chance to check out the Table for Three with Randy Orton and them. I'll actually review that next week, I promise. Other than that, something else that is pretty freaking awesome, I want to give you guys a little bit of a heads up about one of my favorite documentary series. If you have access to Netflix, you need to go out of your way, check it out. I know you can buy these inexpensively online, maybe through Amazon. You might be able to pick up a copy or two at your local Best Buy. But Billy Corben, I'm not talking about Corgan like Smashing Pumpkins. No, Corben, C-O-R-B-E-N. There's a great director named Billy Corben. He is infamous for the 2006 documentary Cocaine Cowboys. And it basically had explored the rise of cocaine and the drug wars that was happening in Miami during the 1970s and 80s. And if you guys have never checked that out, you need to check it out. It is freaking awesome. It mainly follows John Roberts. John Roberts was like, this dude was badass. This dude was a noted drug trafficker, and turns out he was a government informant, and he operated in the Miami area as an associate of Colombia's Medellin cartel during the rise of cocaine trafficking between 1975 to about 1985, give or take. And to avoid a lengthy prison sentence, he actually had cooperated as a witness, and he was put in a witness protection program, I want to say. I know he was basically an informant for the federal government. But this dude was a roller. And then you got Mickey Monday. He basically was a freaking smuggler. He was an importer. Whatever drugs needed to go in and out, that was the guy that you had needed to call. Awesome. It is an awesome documentary. I recommend you check that out. And then there was a part 2 that had came out. And the part 2, it was basically focusing on a small-time cocaine dealer who was operating in Oakland's inner city. And he just became so infatuated with the cocaine godmother, Griselda Blanco, that even though he found out she was serving time in prison, he basically wanted to sponge off of her, learn what he could about the game. He basically wanted what she had. He wanted the money, he wanted the power. And he got a little bit more than what he bargained for in messing around with her. That documentary came out in 2008. That's another great one that you should really check out. You'll love both of them, but if you ask me straight up, I play the hell. I stay replaying it. When I can't sleep, I just watch it. I've seen it so many times. It's in the hundreds. I BS you not. It's in the hundreds. I love the first Cocaine Cowboys. Cocaine Cowboys 3 is going to be coming out very, very soon. And this one is actually going to be a documentary series, it looks like. I don't know how many parts. I want to say maybe it's going to be a 6-part series. But the way Billy is going to be approaching this one is titled Cocaine Cowboys Los Muchachos. And it's basically going to tell the story of Willie Falcon and Sal Magluta. They were basically the biggest Cuban cocaine smugglers in history. And he went on to describe it basically saying, it's not about the violence that turned Miami upside down. It's a story about a family business and men who were well loved and respected by their community. Despite their being the godfathers of a multi-billion-dollar cocaine trafficking business, they were able to corrupt a federal jury in one of the most notorious and outrageous events in the history of the American justice system. There's no timetable right now on when that's going to be coming out, but it's supposed to be released sometime this year. Corbin had noted that they have been working on this for many years now, shooting interviews, doing whatever they could when they had the time and or the money. So yes, it is a 6-part series that's going to be coming about soon. I can't wait for that. I hope that, honestly, I know they've had some very big success with Netflix. I'm hoping that maybe they can iron out some type of a deal and they can do something exclusively with Netflix. That would be pretty awesome if they could do it. But if you've never seen Cocaine Cowboys Part 1 and 2, go out of your way, check those out, especially Part 1. And I want to add to that, when you get done checking out Part 1, before you check out Part 2, do yourself a favor. And I guarantee you will like Cocaine Cowboys Part 1 so much so. Take this recommendation. After you see it, try to find Cocaine Cowboys Reloaded. Reloaded is really freaking awesome because the original Cocaine Cowboys clocks in almost close to 2 hours, whereas the Reloaded has a bunch of new interview stuff that didn't make it in the first one. There was nothing wrong with what they had did. It was just, they just didn't add it when it was all said and done. And it wasn't like they did it in a way where like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense why they didn't want to use. No. The way they did it, it was just extended interviews, extended conversations. And there's also like new visual presentation. You'll see what I'm talking about between Cocaine Cowboys and then Cocaine Cowboys Reloaded. But Cocaine Cowboys Reloaded, I think that's pushing about 3 hours. So trust me, when you see Part 1 and you hear that there's a Reloaded, the way Billy and his team had approached Reloaded, I think that is like gonna set the tone for how all movie production companies should approach going about remixing or doing something that's reloaded or whatever. Really great stuff. So I'm actually looking forward to that. That should be good. Other than that, let's see some other topics we can get into here. We just been blazing through the topics here tonight, man. Try to see if there's anything. Oh, speaking of which, I was talking about Vince McMahon earlier. Did you guys see the new picture of him? I mean, the guy's like, what, 72 going on 73, and he's got like the body of like a 40-something-year-old guy. The guy is freaking ripped. There's like a photo floating around of him. He just got done working out, and dude looks freaking good. Dude looks freaking good. You got to check that out when you get a chance. Other than that, that's pretty much it, man. I'm going ahead and I'm going to shut this bad boy down, man. We did pretty good. So we went a little bit longer than 90 minutes. Honestly, when I get done with the editing, this is going to be creeping up at about probably an hour and 50 minutes. So I'm actually pretty damn content with that. Your next edition of the RCWR show is definitely coming at you all next Tuesday night. I do want to give you guys a heads up though. There's going to be some exclusive audio stuff I'm going to be getting into. That's going to be uploaded for our Patreon members. So Patreon members, be on the lookout this weekend. I'm going to try to see if I can actually upload that Sunday. I'm actually also going to be uploading a new 30 with Lee as we continue our gangster series. A little bit chaotic last month, as some of you all know, but everything's kind of okay now, which is good. So we're going to resume that. So that's going to be awesome. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Love to stay connected with you all at the RCWR Show. And remember, if you love the show, keep spreading the word. Word of mouth always helps. Keep spreading it, man. And you want to support the show, feel free to do so on Patreon for a lot of cool exclusive content, goodies. I can tell you this much, going forward, when it comes to prize giveaways, the way I'm going to be doing it now, it's going to be for our Patreon members. Anybody that basically contributes or is interested in doing some type of a contest, we're going to be utilizing the hell out of Patreon. That's really the way we're going to be doing it going forward. I'll get into the specifics how I'm coming to that conclusion on next week's show, but that's going to do it. All right, so those of you that's going to be waiting for this one to downloads, give me about 20 minutes. I'll hook this up. It'll be ready to go for you all. And enjoy. Until next go around, wishing all y'all to be safe, be kind to one another. Everybody, good night, good morning.